Hey everybody, I'm gonna get this video started. It is early, my voice is scratchy, I apologize. But with this client, we were working on some blues stuff, really getting into that sort of call and response. Then we moved on, because we're going to get into modes, we moved on to the major scale. And what we were finding is this person was constantly ending on that really sweet, tonic of the major chord. And we want to sort of get away from that. And in this lesson, we're doing this just based on the one chord. So we're not actually building melodies that play over chord changes, but building melodies and understanding how the scale degrees either draw us into the one, draw us into other chord tones in the one chord, right? And then from there, we can sort of understand how to do that if we do have maybe a 1, 4, 5 chord progression, okay? So let's get into it. Well, the last thing before we really get started, major scale, how we're going to be using the number system is major scale is just going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a repeating pattern of 7 notes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1, and then we can sort of add the 2 up here. And the 1, of course, is the tonic, and as well here we're playing an A, so A is our tonic chord, and the chord tones, the notes out of this major scale that are in our one chord is a 1, a 3, and a 5. Those 3 notes make up our one chord. Let's go. Early where I am. I was working with a client from another time zone, and I wanted to get this video down just really quickly on the iPhone here about the major scale and how we still need to build up this sort of tension and release. But when we're dealing with the major scale, it's going to be much different than some of the past lessons that we've done, which is the blues. The blues can really build up that tension, release, you know. And what we don't want to do is be giving that really nice, sweet tonic note away too much. So when I was working with this client, this is pretty much where they were headed. Now that we're exploring the major scale and we're going to be getting into modes. Every phrase sort of gave that tonic away. Now it definitely starts to take that sweetness away, but we're still drawn to it because it has a sense of finality sense. That's sort of what we're looking for. And if our ears aren't trained, we're just going to navigate to it without realizing, oh wait, we're actually giving this away too much. We need to build the tension. So when we want to be building phrases, or at very least not giving that away too much, we have a lot of variation in how to do that. Now, if we look at the major scale as a whole, the note that is going to give us the most need for that tonic note is going to be, right? You can really hear it. Right, now we're good. Great, so that 7 is going to give us the most tension. The 9 will also give us that, or the 2, I'm sorry, I kind of interchanged the 2 and the 9 like that. So now if I have, that'll give us that finality as well, which means we can end a phrase on that 7 to build up that tension if we want. That might be a little bit too much. It depends on what we're going for. Or we can end on that 2, and that'll sort of draw us in, and then we can end on the tonic. The 6 is a little bit further away. So the 7 was the most that brings us to that tonic. The 2 wants to drop to that tonic as well, not as harshly as the 7, and the 6 sort of does as well. If I do, right, not as big of a need. What's really, really cool is we don't necessarily need to end our phrases on that tonic to give us some sort of finality. We can also do it with chord tones. That 6 can very much end us on that 5, and we can still get a little bit of that, ooh, that sounds pretty nice, right? So if we go from a 6 down to a 5, those are closer than the 6 up to the tonic. Now, the same thing if we end on a 4, right? We can end on that 3 in the 1 chord, and that gives us a little bit of a sense of finality without completely wrapping everything up. So we have some options here, right? If we want to get to that 1, we can sort of build up the tension using the 7, or a little bit less severe the 2, or even less severe the 6. But maybe we want to end a phrase on a chord tone of the 1 chord, right? Without giving away that 1 so much, but still having some sort of sense of a wrap up. So let's just mess around with some stuff here. Here we go. I'm gonna do it in order. All right, you guys can rewind that and see how that sits and what you would want to sort of do. Now, what I think makes a little bit more sense is let's go for some of the other examples where we sort of deliver a phrase, that sort of hangs on a note and brings us down to a chord tone, and then we're sort of open now to see if we want to continue that or resolve it down to the 1. So we do something like this. Right, and that last example, sort of dancing around that, we're sort of like giving that chord tone away, right, and then sort of dancing around a little bit more, giving the chord tone away, dancing around a little bit more. So these are things that we can really start working on. Where do we want to end the phrase, and how do we want to get there? And this of course starts with you utilizing this in the context of the 1 chord, right? And then eventually when we start adding a chord progression underneath it, now we've got more options to end a phrase on a different chord tone. If I go to a D chord, right, do I want to end on the 3rd or the 5th or the root note of that chord? We have more options, but it's really, really great to start with just doing this over the 1 chord. So I hope that helps. I know it's early. My voice is still scratchy. Comment below on your thoughts. I just wanted to get this video out as quickly as possible just because this is what we were working on with the client. And I hope you guys have a great day.